Hey there, Herd. It's day 3 of March Madness. It's Saturday, March 23rd, and we are less than an hour from tip-off of the first game. Make sure you get your round of 32 entries in before tip-off at 12:45 so you don't lose any RAM points. It is a brand new round, so everybody's got a chance to be a round winner in round of 32, and there's a lot of points in the board. It's really mixed up now that we had some upsets, not as many as in the past 2 years, but definitely some big RAM points to get in this round, and you can close the gap. I'm going to show real quick what the leaderboard looks like.
We currently have 69 out of 95 filled out for this round.
All right, so make sure you get them in before tip-off. Here's our leaderboard as of this morning at 8 a.m. before any games have taken place on Saturday. Team Bizzle won round one of RAM, the round of 64, with 43.99 points. He is flockless. He's on his own, just out there, lone RAM. And we had those final 3 games between Grand Canyon winning, JMU winning, and then what was that? Utah State winning are really what decided it, because there were top teams in that 5 that flip-flopped right at the very end.
So Team Bizzle will get a pint glass for winning this round, but today we're starting the round 2, which is this entire round. It's the round of 32 encompasses its own round. So you can still win one round at a time and get a prize for that. So he'll walk away with a pint glass for this part of the bracket.
And for the top flock contest, for the average points per RAM, that's the average of all the players within one flock. It's raining Thane is in the lead with an average of 35.9. It's very important that you encourage your flock members to all get their brackets in, because you would get a big fat 0 for their score if they don't get in their round of 32 entries. So lots of things to compete for. Looking forward to that as we go into round 2. We have a special guest with us today. Steve Barnett is a former college basketball coach. We've got his wisdom, I guess, as we're going into round 32 on what he's thinking as far as some of the top underdog picks in this round of 32, and just getting his general thoughts on RAM. So, Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. What are you thinking as we move into this round of 32?
Well, thank you for having me, Steve. First of all, being an old coach, both at the high school and college level, one of the things that I always look for in tournament time is talent, obviously, but I think just as important in having talent is having experienced talent. And I think what you've seen the last couple of years is that teams that have gotten older in terms of their players' ages and experience have fared much better at tournament time. I sort of root for UVA, and I go back to their 2019 national championship, and they put a very experienced basketball team on the floor. Maybe not the most talented, but their basketball experience allowed them to go through the tournament and win it. So when I'm picking, that's what I'm looking for. And I think, when you go back and look at the last 2 days' results, that's what you see. Teams with experience combined with talent. I mean, if one guy told me one time is that there's a reason why you don't see a whole lot of mules running in the Kentucky
Derby. Yeah, I mean, to your point, Kentucky, I think, had their backcourt, both of them are supposed to go in the top 7 in the draft, but they're both freshmen. So I think Dillingham and the other guard are both considered, at a minimum top 10 picks in the draft, but they're both really young. So the talent was there, but they lost to a team with a lot more experience. So that's kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
Happened a few years ago with I can't remember which, was it Duke that lost? That surprise. It was either Kentucky or Duke that had a bunch of top end talent, like RJ Barrett and all that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that you know, again, in any sport, talent will normally win out, but in a game, particularly in college basketball, when you get to tournament time, even at the high school level, you get to tournament time, experience does count.
That's a good, interesting take. Any other big tips there for what stands up?
Well, you know, Steve had asked me earlier to sort of pick some underdogs. I think that if you're picking an underdog for today, my first pick was Texas A&M over Houston. Texas A&M comes in on a hot streak. They've got two good shooters on the perimeter. They've got I think one of the better coaches in the country, in Buzz Williams. He's great at rebuilding programs, and he's, I think, rebuilt Texas A&M to be competitive in these situations. The other one I would say to look at today would be JMU over Duke. Again, you've got a situation where JMU has some experience and playing a veteran team against a relatively young Duke team. Now, they have experience, but gosh, if you watched JMU last night, they played hard, particularly on the defensive end. And if they shoot it well, I think they can compete with Duke today.
But that was.
And by the way, I'll throw this in, Mark and Steve, is I say that from a biased position. As Steve knows, my daughter is a huge JMU fan and a double Duke. So, you know, there's some purple in our blood here. But when you look at it realistically, I think, you know, JMU has a real shot there.
They played with a ton of energy. It was a fun game to watch. I mean, just the energy and I can't remember who they're playing on top, but they were trying to match and they just could not keep it going the whole game. It was Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
We've talked about. I think one of the things is with these shooters now. There's so many good shooters. It seems like one of the common themes in the early round upsets, to me, just as a guy that's not like a basketball guy really, but it seems one of the themes is the teams that end up shocking everyone have at least one shooter that just gets hot, and they're more willing to just shoot threes. I mean, it didn't used to be that way 10, 15 years ago. But do you place any emphasis on the three shooting ability of these teams?
Absolutely. The game has changed since I coached it. We used to coach it inside out, and which meant, you know, the ball had to go in the post, and then you kicked it back out. You reversed the ball. The game has now turned into a situation where it's more of a finesse perimeter game, and that creates or means you really have to have shooters on the perimeter. And again, when I'm looking at the brackets, that's another one of the things I look at. You know, teams can score from a perimeter. UVA is a great example. I go back to them. When you watch them play this year, they had, when they shot the ball well, UVA was as good as anybody on their schedule. When they could not throw it in the ocean, they were god awful, like they were in the play-in game. So, yeah, I mean, you know, teams like Oakland, I like the way they score on the perimeter. Carolina, you know, with R.D. Davis or R.J. Davis, whatever his name is. I mean, you know, those guys are shooting 35-40% from three-point, and that's hard to catch up to if you're just going to settle for twos.
And Golke wasn't just shooting wide open threes. He was pounding them over with a hand in his face. It was unbelievable. I can't even imagine what it'd feel like to lose like that. So go ahead, Steve.
I was just gonna say, I think you posted the shot chart from him for the season, and
Yeah.
on the Ram Facebook page, and what he took over 350 shots, and only during the season, like I think like
Yeah,
only eight
yeah,
of them were from within the arc. He just
Yeah, 8
chucks it up there all
two-pointers.
the time. Yeah.
yeah.
So obviously we run this tournament. We talked a little bit before we start recording, but like, what has been your experience with your background in basketball and coaching and your love for March Madness and the integration between it and our Ram tournaments, especially compared to what you would normally do with the bracket type system?
Brad, it's been great. I obviously have a background in basketball and love the games themselves, and when I'd fill out a bracket in the past, you'd lose 50% of your games, and you sort of put the bracket aside, not paying any attention to it. But being a basketball fan, I was going to watch the tournament no matter what, and enjoy it no matter what. But I give you a great example of how the Ram bracket has changed my wife. She's a casual fan, being the wife of a former coach, and she will sit around and watch a game. But when she'd fill out the bracket previously, other brackets, she would, after the first day or two, she'd say, "Well, I'm done with this," and move on. But the great part about it is that now she gets excited with each round because she gets another chance to beat me and whoever else she's competing against. So now she's as interested in the tournament from day one to the finals as I am. So it's great. I tell people all the time, I've been trying to get my own flock here in Sturstraff.
Sounds like the flock you're currently with is terrible.
Pardon?
Said it sounds like the current flock you're in is terrible. I'd get away from those people.
Well, I blame that on the Barnett side of the flock. How about that?
We're having a tough run so far, but we've got a lot of ground to make up.
There you go,
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So with what would you say if you had a criticism or something that you would fix? What would be the biggest criticism of the Ram bracket, or something that you would fix if you could wave a magic wand?
I don't know that I would fix anything, Brad. The fact that you can recalculate after each round makes it just real interesting. I'm down in the dumps. I only picked, I think, 18 out of the 36 correctly. And when you guys sent me the bracket this morning, I'm excited again. I'm thinking, well, shoot, I can pick up and move on up the ladder with these picks because I screwed up so many in the first two rounds. So, yeah, I just think it's a great idea and a great way to enjoy the March Madness. And I hope it, expands more and more each year because it is a lot of fun. I don't fill out an old bracket, the regular brackets anymore. So, and in fact, I'll never forget the first one I filled out. We were in Norfolk in a hotel room. My wife and I, Amy was doing a seminar, my daughter, down there, and presenting at a conference. And David had called Amy and said, "You got to get your mom and dad on this thing." So when I looked at premise in the beginning, I said, "I'm not doing this crap. This is dumb." And then all of a sudden, you start going from round to round to round, and you think, "Well, I can catch up here. I can catch up here." So yeah, I think you guys have a great idea, and I hope you continue it. I'll tell you what I would like to see you do is do one for the women's tournament.
We discussed it. We don't know if we want to run two brackets at the same time. But
I think if we can improve our automation capabilities, we're definitely up for entertaining that, So, but we're looking for a breakthrough in technology to help
there
us
you go.
facilitate that. So
Yeah, we
There
got
you
to
go.
scale some of this stuff. We think our technology user side is obviously the worst side. We think the way that we think the actual playability is good, but the interface is bad. So that's the big workout. Well, Steve, do you got anything else to close out with or questions?
Well, I just say that shows you the difference between people who understand technology and guys like me who don't. I think it's great, but so I don't understand the technical aspect of it, but I think what you're doing is great. So keep up the good work, and thanks for having me on.
well, thanks for joining us, Steve. We appreciate it, and glad that you're able to enjoy the tournament. Yeah, our big goal is to get people engaging in the sports in kind of a different way than they normally would, and it's an exciting way to kind of keep plugged in with the tournament. So thanks for joining us again. Good luck in the round of 32. I hope you and your flock do great this next time.
All right, thanks everybody.
All right, horns up, everybody.
Horns up. See you guys.